Flash runs into the Speed Force to save his mother from dying, only to mess up the rest of the Justice League members. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we are recapping the film, Flashpoint Paradox. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The film opens with Barry having a flashback when their car breaks down. Barry's mother teaches him a lesson about accepting the things that cannot be changed, changing those that can, and knowing the difference. Later, Barry comes home from school and finds his mother had been murdered. In the present day, an adult Barry pays his respects to his late mother on her birthday and he mourns, wishing he could have saved her. Just then, he gets a phone alert about a break-in at the Flash Museum and heads for it, leaving his girlfriend Iris behind. Barry transforms into the Flash and arrives at the museum being attacked by 5 different villains. Flash begins to fight them, but they glue him onto the wall with adhesive. While trapped, Flash questions the villains and his arch-enemy Eobard Thawne. The Reverse Flash enters and reveals he hired the villains in order to tarnish the Flash's reputation by destroying the city. However, Flash also throws some adhesive which captures Reverse Flash too. Just then, the Justice League swoops in to help and they plan how to deactivate Reverse Flash's bombs. With no other options, Flash instructs them to move the villains away from the area and deactivate them separately, and the bombs are disabled and detonated in secured areas. Despite their victory, Thawne taunts Flash about not being able to save everyone, especially those who matter to him. Batman advises Flash that Thawne is only messing with him, but with his mother on his mind, Flash races into the Speed Force in an attempt to save her from dying. The next day, Barry wakes up in his office where James Forrest informs him about recent events with Captain Cold and Elongated Kid. Barry asks more about the captured villain from the Playing News, but Forrest has no idea. Barry then heads out to capture the criminals, but he discovers that his powers are gone. His mother is alive and she reminds him of her birthday. Barry then realizes the world has changed drastically and his mother has also never heard of a superhero called the Flash, only the Batman. Meanwhile in Gotham, Batman fights with Yodo on top of Wayne Casino. He easily subdues Yodo and asks her for the location of the Joker, who is holding Judge Dent hostage. Yodo denies knowing, so Batman throws her off the building, but she is caught by Cyborg. Cyborg approaches Batman and reveals that in the war, Aquaman and his Atlantean forces have sunk most of Europe, while Wonder Woman has led the Amazons in conquering Great Britain. Cyborg asks Batman to join their resistance and help them against the two teams, but he refuses. Meanwhile, Barry discovers that his wife Iris is married and has a child. He later visits Bruce Wayne where he is attacked by Batman and he discovers Bruce's father Thomas Wayne is Batman since Bruce died in the robbery. Meanwhile, Steve Trevor runs through London looking to retrieve lost spy journalist Lois Lane being chased by Amazons, and Queen Diana later executes him. Batman tortures Barry as he reveals that in his world he is a superhero named the Flash. He gets out a suit from his ring, but it instead belongs to Zoom. Barry then realizes Zoom must have reversed the timeline and Batman agrees to help him after learning his son Bruce is alive and is also the Batman in his universe. In Europe, Lex Luthor and Deathstroke captain a ship to locate the Atlantean weapon of mass destruction, but their ship is attacked by Atlantean forces. Lex's forces are defeated and he is held captive and later gets executed by Aquaman. Barry sits in a chair at the Batcave and asks Batman to recreate the accident that led him to turn into Flash, and a reluctant Batman activates the lightning rod on the chair. The plan fails, however, and Barry is set on fire. Meanwhile, Cyborg tries to convince the president to let the superheroes help, but he refuses, stating the military will handle the Atlanteans, and he relieves Cyborg of his duty. Following this, Aquaman and Wonder Woman set up a peace meeting between them, and later he has an affair with Diana. His wife Mara finds out and attempts to kill her, but Diana kills Mara and takes her crown, leading Atlanteans to declare a war on them. Barry awakens in the Batcave, burnt and panicking, and Thomas calms him with a sedative. Barry fears that he will forget everything from his timeline, so they must hurry and try again to restore his powers. Later, Vulko warns Aquaman that the atomic weapon is growing more and more unstable and could potentially destroy the entire planet, but Aquaman is hellbent on punishing the Amazons for their queen's loss. Captain Atom is also shown to be the power source of their atomic weapon. Barry and Batman try again, and this time Barry regains his powers and saves Batman, who was knocked off by the lightning. Meanwhile, in London, journalist Lois Lane runs for her life while being sought after by the Amazons. She records her findings that Aquaman will invade England tomorrow but gets cornered by the Amazons. Lois has given up, but luckily she is saved by a yellow speedster who kills them all then disappears. She is then met by the resistance team who is on her side. Lois questions Grifter about the speedster who just saved her, but Grifter assures her that there is no speedster in their team. Later, Batman checks on Barry and is surprised that his wounds are healed. Barry also alters Zoom's suit and recreates his old suit, becoming the Flash once again. He then tests his run but finds himself unable to run fast enough. On the other hand, General Sam Lane shows Hal Jordan his alien spaceship previously flown by Abin Sur, who claimed to have a magic ring which flew away into space. He plans to use it to destroy the Atlanteans' weapon, and Hal accepts the risky mission. Meanwhile, Flash discovers that he can't run fast enough to break the time barrier since another speedster is also using the Speed Force, predictably Professor Zoom. Flash decides to get help from Superman, who is the only one fast enough to break the barrier, but he discovers that Superman crashed into Metropolis 30 years ago. The two later meet up with Cyborg in Metropolis, and Batman agrees to join Cyborg's resistance only if he leads. They then ask Cyborg for his help in locating Superman. The three then head into the facility where the distressed Superman is held captive, and they liberate him. Once outside, security asks for their government property back. But Superman is recharged by the sun for the first time and fends off the attackers, but later flies away in confusion. Barry then collapses and has a seizure as his memories begin to change. Meanwhile, over the ocean, Hal Jordan flies the spacecraft and attempts to bomb Aquaman's army. However, he is swallowed by a giant sea creature controlled by Aquaman and explodes inside it. Barry later recuperates and learns that Jordan's attack has failed and that the final battle between the Amazons and Atlanteans has begun. Barry also convinces the doubtful young superheroes to help stop the war, and they depart for Britain aboard Batman's jet. On the other hand, Batman confirms Flash's suspicion that a yellow speedster Zoom is alive in this timeline. Suddenly, their plane is taken out of the sky by Atlanteans. Atlantean forces enter New Themyscira, where they are met by the Amazon forces led by Diana, the Wonder Woman. Suddenly the Resistance arrives and Lois tries to stop the fight but fails, and Aquaman and Wonder Woman fight each other. However, they are interrupted as Flash, Batman and Cyborg fight off Aquaman, while Wonder Woman fights against Captain Thunder. Batman gets injured in the exchange and Flash takes him away, and Batman asks him to find Zoom to change everything. However, Zoom appears to him and Flash chases him around, but Zoom outruns and immobilizes him. Zoom also reveals that when Barry tried to save his mother in a different timeline, he broke the time barrier and caused all this mess. In the fight, Aquaman fatally injures Cyborg while Diana ends Captain Thunder as Flash watches. However, Superman arrives and lasers off Aquaman's hand and comforts Cyborg as he shuts down. Diana then finds and finishes off Aquaman, who just activated his Captain Atom-powered weapon. As the explosion begins, Zoom mocks Barry, but Batman kills him. The dying Batman urges Barry to go back in time and fix this, giving him a letter as the explosion consumes everything. Barry later successfully enters the Speed Force and prevents his earlier self from saving his mother, hence preventing the Flashpoint. Following this, Barry wakes up in his office and notices the apocalyptic headlines are gone. He rushes out of his office and goes to his mother's grave to pay his respects, where his wife Iris arrives and comforts him. Flash is then seen in the Batcave explaining to Bruce the events of the Flashpoint and gives Bruce the letter from his father Thomas. Bruce opens it and cries, thanking him for his great delivery. Barry then waves goodbye and speeds back through the city. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps.